Welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your hosts, Vertek and Chibi, are back from their latest adventure.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today, we're on episode 139, today being the 16th of September, 2022. And we're here presenting our guest from the Dunehold Guild. And as is being held up in the screen there, Mega Pints is today's title, because why not? So we have with us two guests today. One of them is Bergund. How are you today, Bergund?
I am excellent. It's great to be here in the tavern with everybody. And yeah, looking forward to chatting with you all.
So give the name your greatest inflection. How's it supposed to be pronounced proper?
Bergund.
Bergund
Right. Iron Guard, that is I.
All right.
Very nice.
Perchance based on like burgundy? Like is that a favorite color in there, maybe?
So actually, I went traveling in Germany right after high school and learned quite a bit of it. And Bergen actually means mountain, Bergen.
Ooh.
And that's what my name was a long time ago on a different MMO, but decided to change it up a little bit for Ashes.
Nice.
All right. So my headcanon is everything combined, you are the Red Mountain. Got it. All right, and then our other guest over here, not to be confused with the least being introduced as last. This is Thoghli. I believe you're the guild leader. Yeah,
I am. Yes.
All right. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks again for both of you joining us here.
Absolutely.
And the lovely and talented Chibi here with me as always. How is your day going?
Much better now that I'm here, I have to be honest.
You know
what?
Go ahead and get a little video started here.
Oh, I was gonna say if you want,
blank.
we were gifted a image from Thoghli of Dunehold's 3 banners. If you want to put that up while we chat about Dunehold.
Okay.
Speaking of, you guys are doing. Okay. Speaking of, you guys are doing a rebranding from the Lords of Dunehelm into Dunehold.
Yes, we are.
Care about chatting about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So we were the Lords of Duneheim, but as we grew, we kind of were looking at, the possibility of us having content creators. And so doing that, we reached out to the Ashes team, seeing if we could use that name because, Duneheim is a location. Mm-hmm. And they kind of suggested us to kind of go a different route because if we have content creators, monetizing, we should probably choose something differently. So we decided as a guild, we put in votes and kind of did our due process and changed our guild name to Dunehold, and
nice.
Here we are.
Very nice. I like it. Dunenkal dwarves, love it.
Yes, we are now the hold for all dwarves. Or
yes,
if we may.
That's right. The other thing I wanted to say is you guys are, I believe, as far as I'm aware, the only guild to be single, racial across the guild, which is Dwarven.
Yeah, there are a few other mentions, but I don't think that they're very exclusive. I know we are just specifically, we were Dwarven, which had both of them, but we kind of changed it up to allow, the possibility of a Nukian guild to grow from that. So we went straight to
calling all Nukia.
Yes, we need some more Nukia out there.
Right.
Dunir only.
Yeah, it's true. I'm actually surprised more guilds and or communities aren't thinking about it like that. I mean, of course, it's not a factioned game, so there's not. I'm sure the designers are kind of like, oh, those dwarves trying to make a faction.
Yeah.
But the idea that the nodes represent what the character race majority looks like and all the internal quests that come from that kind of experience. I think it's a gold mine.
Yeah.
Don't mind the pun, but there's all kinds of potential with that kind of content, player-made content in the game.
Absolutely. Sorry, my cat has decided now is the time she wants to be on my lap, so I'm fighting a cattail at the moment.
Mine's taking a nap.
Aw. So some of the questions in chat are, do you take both races of dwarves or no?
No, we used to when we had the old brand of Lords of Duneheim, but now since we changed to Dunehold, we are Dunir only.
Makes sense.
And that's not in any way distasteful towards the Nukia. I think, like Thoghli had said earlier, part of the decision was we're already a pretty niche thing, being roleplay focused and Dunir focused or Dwarven focused. And it might even help our identity to not be all encompassing of the dwarves, because that lore doesn't quite interact the same way. And so location became an issue, and identity of the node, because that'll change based on majority. And
right.
we're not discluding anyone if they, come launch and, maybe a couple visitors come in, but we are going to try and keep Dunir focused.
Yeah.
Sure.
That makes sense. JM says mountains are better than boats.
I agree.
Agreed.
Gosh.
100%.
Cash Kush.
Bad. Sounds like a fun guild to interact with. Go Dunir. Yes. Dunir, actually, I popped into their Discord, the Dunehold Discord, and I was just trying to get some bits and pieces of information ready for today's stream, and I was interested, or not interested, I was interacted with very interestingly, because I didn't quite realize at the time that you guys were also an RP guild. So when I was trying to gain this information, it was just kind of fun, because I ended up doing a little bit of like a role play right off the bat, just the whole usually dwarves don't like elves for whatever reason, and so I'm just like, pardon me, I hope I'm not offending anyone with my like elvenness, but I'm hoping to get some information. And it was really fun to just interact and see how you guys interacted with each other even, and it just made my day. It was just really, really cool.
Yeah, I think a common conception about us possibly is that because we're Dunir only, we are xenophobic in any way. And I think it's really important to just mention Ashes is a completely different lore, backstory. We don't know much about it. I think that gives us all the rights to create our own story about how the dwarves interact with others.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity right now. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. And we were just chatting right before the show that I am really short, so I am technically the shortest you can be for an elf, which is roughly dwarven height. In terms of gameplay, it depends on which game. Like if you're playing D&D, we're still a bit taller, but I am 4'10" in real life, so do with that as you will.
Okay. So everything's all up there, because I also realized while watching and making sure the flags look good that we didn't get the feature chat put in there. So that's in there.
That's
or
there
I
now.
didn't, rather. That's on me.
With Cash's treasonous comment being displayed.
Well, he's interested in kicking us. I say toss us.
Huh?
Never
Don't kick the dwarf.
Never
Toss a dwarf.
Never. No.
I'm built for it.
There you are.
Love it.
Maybe I share that same height disadvantage with you. I'm very much close to being a real life dwarf with my beard and my hair and my height. So, of course, guild leader of an all dwarven guild is close to being a dwarf. So
it's fitting, honestly.
Praise you, Thoghli.
Yes.
Praise you.
Also, Rokla says, toss a dwarf to your witcher.
There you go.
Did I actually zoom out on your video there? Get you so there's like this much popping up off the nameplate. Make it really fit. Just see nothing but like it ends in a beard.
Short Wolfgang. There you go.
There you go.
So there's a few things we wanted to chat about just briefly before we kind of get into more of like the Ashes community topics. And those are, what are some of the things that you plan to do when you get into Ashes? Be it Alpha 2, betas, or the official game.
Ooh, I'll let Bergund take this one.
Nice. Okay. Well, there's, it's kind of an interesting thing. We are a guild that was created for Ashes of Creation, and it's a really awesome opportunity to develop a guild at the same time as developing a game, or at the same time as the development of the game, and to kind of form our strategies around the information that we've gathered and previous experiences in other games, of course.
It is.
Alpha 2 is going to be a really awesome research and development experience. We have some great aspirations for a Dwarven node, and so, figuring out location, figuring out networking with other folks in the area, finding other patron guilds that would want to be a part of the node with us. These are all things that we're in the works on, and so Ashes or Alpha 2 will be a time where it's going to be a lot of testing the game and finding the bugs, but it's also going to be a lot of time testing the guild and finding the bugs, and and so that's going to be a great time to network with others, find others to join us within the game, within the testing phase. It's a great recruitment period, especially if you're dwarf and you encounter a group of 15, 20, 30 dwarves. I think we have over 50, maybe even close to 70 at this point that are going to be in Alpha 2. So that's really exciting to have almost 2 raids worth of dwarves working together in Alpha 2. Very exciting. That's
really awesome. I wonder if you're going to be able to kind of like pit them against each other like a competition. Like,
Definitely.
All right,
absolutely.
Whichever raid does better.
Fight clubs, drinking games, the taverns are going to be absolutely ridiculous.
I love it.
Sure to be a good time.
I love it. If you're ever looking for a good time, Dwarven Tavern is a place to be. Just if you're ever worried, just buy everybody around and you're good. At least that's what D&D has taught me.
Yes. Yes.
Cheers to the Golden Feather. Our Dwarven Taverns will be running for our money with your community,
Yeah.
Great thing going.
Absolutely. Cheers back. I don't have a fancy drink, so have my pretend fancy cup.
Yeah. we get some Golden Feather mugs.
Yeah, you do. Thoghli, drink out of the horn.
No, I'm not doing that.
All right.
Yeah, I was thinking of trying to do that for some custom TGF merch, getting a hold of some of those people that do the handcrafted horn carving, get them to do some with the little golden feather on there.
Yeah.
Well,
I do have one. It's quite large.
Nice.
The best.
Hydro, homie, confirm. Hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate, Kosh.
Oh, you know
Cheers.
what? I'm thirsty enough.
Hydrate. Oh, thank you.
Again, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in Alpha 2, we actually are a guild that's separated into 3 clans of dwarves, or like families in a way.
Okay.
And they each have a roleplay background, of sort of like interests, and we've thought about the design of Ashes and sort of split it off into 3 different compartments of sorts.
Okay.
These are not limiting compartments. We're not blocking each other from interacting with other things, but essentially, to boil it down into the simplest terms, it's a group that'll be focused on the PvP, a group that'll be focused on the PvE, and a group that'll be focused on the crafting.
Nice. Okay.
And so within not just crafting, but the entire artisan system, and religion in that. So there's, Alpha 2 is going to be a great time for us to all, as 3 different clans, go out and test those things that we are focusing on, gain the expertise and the knowledge that we need to share our wisdom and to teach others and train others on maybe compositions or stats that we're trying to go for, or strategies. And it's an open development period, so all the membership are going to have an open mic on suggestions, and it can be a great opportunity for the 3 clans and the 3 responsibilities to really test the waters and interact
really
with each other. Yeah, it's gonna be very exciting.
Nice. I like it.
People got
really
plans. Cool. Got plans.
Yeah.
Dig it.
We have a
I
lot
like
of
Many plans.
Hit the ground running, essentially.
Right.
Nice. And just a side note, I did just increase the text font size for the overlay. So if that is easier to read, let me know. If it's still hard to read, let me know. I can make it larger. I know it's a little bit smaller than our usual. So, yeah, no, that's really awesome. I enjoy that. I, for one, plan to be doing a lot of potion making. So if you guys ever need potions, I'd be happy to trade stuff and things.
Yes. Okay. That's an interesting thing.
Making deals already.
Dwarves do love coin.
We do.
Indeed. What is this concoction? It's not. I mean, it could be ale, but it's not. It's healing ale.
Overthrow. I'm going to battle with your strongest potions. Okay, what's your most potion-y potion you got? Give it to me.
Oven potion sounds sus. Okay.
Made with real elvins.
So.
What about you, Vertec? What are you going to be doing in Alpha 2?
That is a good question.
Ooh, all of the everything. I can say for one, I'm probably going to test every single feature of every single tank that I can. That's going to be one of my big focuses.
Ooh.
Yeah. I want to make sure my class is nice and polished and bug free. So that'll be my thing. I'm nervous about going too far in as far as content goes. I don't know. Like, I want it all to come out bug free, and I mean, it's not going to be bug free. It's totally a delusion I'm living in, but I want it to come out bug free. But I don't know if I want to be the one to test all the stuff before we can really experience it in its final glory on launch. But
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. We are in a pretty unique situation. I'm not sure how many other companies have done an open development like this with the results that we're seeing, and so to really see, like, do I want to spoil this game for myself? Am I going to spoil it? Like, there's going to be some really sweet arcs and surprises that come with a level up to a metro, and all kinds of interactions with on the roads and forests and whatever else. That's an interesting thing.
There's also the counterbalance to it, which is down the line you can do the old person thing where you go, back in my day, I remember this thing was so broken, but with testers like me back in the Alpha 2, we were able to get it fixed. We told them about it. We told them how to fix it, and they did, because they're awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks to us, you have a complete product. Enjoy.
Right?
It was pretty sweet to go through Alpha 1 and see the dwarf models at that time, and the Dunir within Dunehold that were there. We had a lot to say.
Yes, we did.
I hope that we were a part of the voice that got the updates, because the newer updates are chef's kiss. They're beautiful dwarves.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening in the chat. First, I want to say welcome in, everyone, to the Tavern. Thank you guys for the follow, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the Golden Feather. And also, people are saying some of the story arcs won't be in alpha, which is fair. And I think they're going to be trying to keep as much of the main lore pieces out while testing as possible. But it's still like knowing where something is, because that's a lot to change between betas and live. So some of that stuff is going to be you only know where something is because you tested it or something like that. But yeah, I do remember hearing a lot of interesting variations of responses on the Dunir and the other Dwarven models, and I'm really glad to hear that it's more of a place that you guys like it, because for me, I was just like, I don't know, it looks like a dwarf, but I don't know what a dwarf should look like, because there's so many different things you could do. So having people like you guys that are like very pro, like this is what I think the dwarf should look like, and then being able to be happy with how they changed it, I think that's really important for the game. And it's just really nice to have the ability. And this is something that I always tell people, like, just because you didn't back the game doesn't mean you don't have a voice with the game. There's tons of opportunity for giving feedback. They're always asking for opportunities, be it you posting something up in the forums. Like I'll look through the forums for content to talk about, and they'll be like, oh, thank you for bringing this up. This is a great point. Like maybe this is something we should talk about. Like it's just nice that they monitor all of that outside of their request for responses.
Yes, thank you, Intrepid. If you do ever watch this, you are a godsend.
Yeah.
Very much
As they always
so.
say, the loudest shout gets the mead, so you gotta speak up.
That's right.
That's
right.
true.
I feel like that should be like the motto for Dunehold. The loudest shout gets the mead.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the dwarf models don't fix, or don't change what's not broken, or don't try to fix what's not broken. And but that being said, the Nikuan are a really interesting take on the dwarf model. And when I first heard about them, I was like, Polynesian, Moana, let's see it. And those first models were not quite there. And to see the latest concept art, it's my dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
Happier than having
So
known
good.
cousins.
Yes. At least they gave him some beards. Like I was really confused as why any dwarf wouldn't have a beard. Like, does it make sense to me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, to the dwarf mains, what do you think about the whole beards growing out of the skull thing?
I was just about to bring that up. But I'm so glad you did.
Oh man, it's so unique.
Hot
It's
take.
so is the hair actually bone? Like, is it hard enough to be considered some type of armor for your neck? Like,
I mean, that's what I would think. That's what I would think. I mean, if it's going to grow out of the skull itself, and it's still there. It's still there. After that, the Minotaur had just a skull remaining, like no flesh tone to it at all. It's already been sun bleached, and the hair was still just chilling there. It's got to be pretty durable, right?
mm-hmm.
It's true. I have a different take, and it bless the man. But we've been watching Steven for a few years now, and he's a troll. He can be a total troll at times, and we're like pretty vicious with some of his jokes and in-jokes and things like that. And I think I've picked up on when he's trolling. I think he was trolling about the beards growing out of the skulls. It doesn't seem like there's, I don't know. There's too many questions. I've too many questions have come up for me.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea. Yeah.
You've got some explaining to do, Steven, if that is real.
Overthrow did say, I think there's a 50-50 chance it's a troll.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, who knows, maybe he was feeling out the waters for how people would react to it. Maybe that was going to be the deciding factor on which way the lore goes.
Oh, that's funny.
Just make it cool,
Then
Steven.
Right? Then again, if he did this campaign so many years ago, I mean, he probably has it set in mind if it is or not.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. And maybe he was just overly excited, but sometimes it's hard to tell if he's overly excited or just really interested to see our reactions.
Yeah, Miss Kitten Britches says, I think it's mostly for entertainment, not that it will have any effect on gameplay. So.
I mean, if they ever do some cutscenes and such, though, pretty sure if the bone beards are a thing,
I mean, my
it's
biggest
probably
question
gonna
is,
block a sword strike at some point. Like,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean we have to have a beard? Does it mean that in character creation you won't be able to make a dwarf without a beard? That goes for
Heresy.
women or men. Well, because there's all kinds of stories that can come from it. And can you shave bone?
Right.
You can break it.
You can break it, but can you braid it? You know, there's.
Can you imagine going to the barber and somebody's sitting there with a hammer and chisel?
Right?
Ready to stylize a beard with hammer and chisel and like the high fantasy version of like a blowtorch.
Yeah, we were made of stone, right? We were the first race of the gods.
That's funny. Oh man. Does the beard even stop growing post-mortem? That's a good question. I mean,
Actually,
ideally there's no aliveness left. But that is a good segue into
it is to that one topic.
Yep, into our topic number 1, which is RP elements within Ashes of Creation. Do you want me to grab that link while you bring it up?
Let's. Oh, I was gonna grab that one right there with the hair.
Yep, I got that. I'm gonna post it out if you want to bring it up. There you
say
are.
Bring it up.
Yeah, like introduce it, talk about it.
Oh, okay. I was thinking visually for some reason. It's been a long day already, folks. My brain is not entirely here. Be getting a drink after this
Tuesday,
show.
Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so someone was having a conversation, saying that they recall playing, I believe it was Red Dead Redemption 2, where there is hygiene and hair growth that actually has an impact and an appearance in the game, and you have to actually go and get it cut and bathe yourself, or else you start looking like a ragamuffin mountain man. And
unless that's your look.
Unless that's your look. I mean, I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah.
That gets you your goals.
Right?
But the question I had on that specifically for dwarven RP peoples is, would hair growth and things like hygiene and such like that be a significant impact on immersion and your RP, just in general, your scenes and whatnot like that, if it did automatically grow out? Or would that be something you would be happy with just editing at a barber on a whim because? Is it like a desired and impactful feature, or do you think, nah, not in an MMO?
I mean, I think that it would be a really neat feature to have for role players, because looking at it from, an immersive kind of side of it, if you're trying to role play and become like some type of royalty, you would want to keep up your appearance a little bit, especially as a dwarf, because you take pride in your beard and your appearance, being kind of a higher echelon of dwarf. But if you're just a common dwarf, do you look pretty all the time? Do you look rugged with, coal dust and smut on you? I mean, I could see that very much being the down-to-earth dwarf that a lot of people want to see. So,
yeah. I think that'd be kind of cool to do with the character creation too, right?
Absolutely. And maybe like if you style it a certain way and it grows out, it just gets a little ruffled and stays in the same design, but maybe like we saw in the character creator, the hair can like extend in length, and maybe it can get a little natty or something, and going to the barber or something like that puts you into your character a little bit. I mean, I would even say for non-role players, for a game like Ashes, where Steven has this whole backstory of the characters that he's done in the campaigns, I think he wants to bring people into this role play aspect of the game, and it kind of makes you think, oh my gosh, my character's all disheveled and needs to shave. Like, I can't go out looking like this. This makes me look bad, sort of, and I can't like have neon armor and then just like a homeless man sticking out of it. Or
Red Boss is gonna laugh us out of the dungeon. Jeez.
That's
Right.
and so it kind of like is inviting to put that on as your character, to feel your character out.
Honestly, even as somebody who wasn't a part of an RP guild, like I used to love going to the barber in World of Warcraft just to feel like, oh, it's time for a change up of my hairstyle or like my hair color. And I would spend a while just sitting there, like looking at the different hair colors and the hairstyles. One of my favorite things was unlocking new hairstyles. Because it always felt interesting, like if a node were level, for example, in Ashes, and then that unlocks a set of new hairstyles for you based on the can you imagine? I don't know if you've done the whole like rude or jokes or whatever, but the blood elves, where they're talking about going to the troll spa and they put a bone in her nose, like can you imagine if you are like an elf who was a part of a primarily like Dunir or Vec village, and you had access now to those types of hairstyles as an elf? Like that would be funny because, and also cool because it's just like that's not usually available to your race, but because of the racial, I guess, primary racial archetype of that node, you have access to that node's racial like hairstyles and stuff. To an extent, obviously, if I'm an elf, I don't have beards, so it'd be more like the hair on the top of my head and not the beard part. But it would still have the option. I think that'd be really cool.
I'm gonna go in with my lanky, scraggly looking Vec and get a beard stimulating massage done. It'll be amazing.
There was some lore written a long time ago, and I'm not sure how much of that's going to last, but the concept of Dunir having emblems, family emblems on their like wrists of sorts, and the Nikuans banishing that lifestyle got rid of theirs, and so there's not. I mean, it's got some cosmetic importance, but then there's also like a little bit of lore into the culture behind these different races, even just the Dunir, the Dunes and Kel. So I'm wondering what other like cultural practices are going to be represented within the different races and their biomes and things like that.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good point.
I'm thinking if the seafaring and beach living dwarves don't really have beards, maybe the dwarven beards are actually made of metal, and just hanging around all that salt just corroded them away. It's continual corrosion as soon as it starts growing out.
I can support this.
Or some like mollusks growing out of their if not bone, stone.
Yeah. There you go.
Stone beard.
There you go. Sorry, I'm trying to get into the feature chat because there's something that I want to highlight, and I misunderstood a feature that came out with Twitch. So I was trying to highlight it from the front side, but it wasn't exactly working. They've apparently made it so that as a live streamer, you can adjust how the little chat highlights appear to us, but not like highlighting somebody's, because that would be cool if I could just highlight somebody, like any of their messages, where like you can do the choose to redeem to highlight your message for you. If I could just go through and highlight it as a mod, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Miss Kitten Britches says that's a good idea and something I could see being implemented even more than hairstyles too. Maybe tattoos and armors could adopt their node's appearance, and I thought that'd be really cool. Because imagine a Nikoa tattoo shop, right? It would be very Pacific Islander, very tribal. It's very cool. And then you have I don't know, probably Vec would have a lot to do with stars and moons and stuff like that. And that'd be really like astrological. It'd be really awesome.
I'm hoping that we get a really diverse tattoo system. We had even discussed having like each of our clans have a color scheme. And if each of our clans could be represented with colored tattoos that represent our clan, that way when we're gathered together, you can kind of get a passive like idea of who everyone is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's an interesting idea.
I like it. I like it.
Region specific tattoos would be really cool. Yeah, I agree. Hello, celery bro.
Bro, celery. Nice.
But somebody was saying coral beard, overthrow. Overthrow said coral beard instead of bone beard.
Whoa, yeah, a full coral beard. That's kind of cool. Or like a crab, just a giant crab for beard.
So one of the other things that I wanted to bring up is we had your glorious image of Bergund on his polar bear. And somebody said personally that they'd love to see an armored war boar for their Dunir. Oops. Sorry. I'm over here opening.
A war boar.
Yeah, there you go.
War bar.
War boar.
Do you have that? Do you have that polar bear imaged? If you wanted to show it, you're allowed to.
I might have it somewhere. Did you send it to me? Because if you did, then I have it. But if not, I can probably pull it off of Twitter real quick.
I can try to beat you to it.
Okay. But on that vein, somebody said, what mounts would you absolutely love to see in Ashes if not already done? And I already know Bergund's is going to be the polar bear.
You know me well.
Bergund is very much pro bear mount.
Yeah.
I myself, I want to see, Brew Bear. He actually, he is upset about that. He missed it.
Oh no! Thank you. Got it.
It makes me cry every time I hear that.
What is yours?
Rams. I love rams, and that's kind of where the ram heart came from. Was having big battle rams. Having them be like a cavalry unit. So
nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, bear is my basis or my base requirement, I think, for my taste. But in Alpha 1, we saw some like wooden bears, and like they were made out of wood and had moss growing on the backs, and that was really beautiful. I'm pretty sure we could see a stone bear. I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
Steven,
Go ahead and pull this one.
Margaret, if you guys are listening, stone bears.
Stone bears. Painted white. Polar stone bear.
And I sent you the image.
Yeah, I think Vertec is working on getting it up there right now.
Overthrow, I agree with you. The Rams in the movie The Hobbit, that was really awesome to see.
That was.
Yeah.
The Ram Strider was a pretty interesting take on Rams.
Yes, it was.
That big, I don't even know what was the Ram mixed with? I don't know.
I wonder.
The Dawn Strider, maybe? I don't know.
There you are.
Oh yeah.
All is glory.
Oh my gosh, that fits Bergund to a T. I'm gonna actually try to use my character creator to make that image of him, because it really is a fitting image. What my imagination was, the artist nailed it.
That's awesome.
So appreciative.
I love it when artists are able to you don't even tell them all the things, right? And they still somehow come back with almost exactly what you were wanting. And that happened with Vertec.
Nice.
Vertec was like, I want a Vec looking person who's like a tavern owner, and the guy just practically spot on first try. So it was really awesome.
I'm an artist myself, and so I think having an idea about if I were getting information to make a composition for my character, I would want facial expressions and mood and things like that to kind of give the backstory of what this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great to see to work with him. Alexa Stajic, if anyone needs an amazing quality character art, Alexa Stajic is worth checking out.
Might need to check a person out for some TGF stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
It looks good.
If you want to toss that in our little chat we got going on over here. So yeah, let's see some of the things that chat is saying. Glacial frost bears, animated stone mounts.
Ooh.
I can imagine like a stone golem of some sort being animal husbandried with like the brew bear to be like a stone brew bear almost.
That's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make my own stone or brew bear.
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a polar brew bear with animal husbandry.
They just make Coca-Cola though, so those aren't as fun.
That's fair. Well, so Miss Kitten Vision says donkeys are expected, but various donkeys would make me happy, specifically for use as a mule. As for battle mounts, I agree with the rams. Maybe some long-haired ones. And then Trojan God of Thunder said would love to have like an undead faction that includes all races of Vera to have them as undead versions. I can imagine something like that happening if you were a cleric summoner. Summoning undead faction or an undead races of Vera. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Polar brew bear is genius because it will keep your ale cold. Thank you. Somebody knew where I was going with that.
That's an amazing idea.
Yeah.
Woodchip just wants a torched Stufferton.
Yeah. That's actually, how did you guys interact with this Stufferton? Because a lot of our community members did not like Stufferton at all.
Why not?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of them it was about the it seems silly, and it's like an immersion breaking thing. It's supposed to be high fantasy, I think is what a lot of them said. And so with a stuffed animal as a mount, they feel it kind of breaks the silly barrier a bit too far.
Yeah,
I love it though.
Because the high fantasy part they're focusing on.
Yeah,
I see.
Well, that's one of those I bought immediately, if anything, because it's, I mean,
a little out there.
There has to be some kind of lore story. Steven said there was a big lore story behind it when it came out, and I was like, well, that seems very magical to me. It's probably got something to do with kids.
Right.
And absolutely I want one.
Sorry. I was just thinking how every year they do the charity event with the kids, and when you just said that, my brain connected the two, possibly. So I mean, I'm just like,
I think in an MMO that does fantasy and has magic, I would say a witch could make a giant stuffed teddy bear that turns to life. Like that's, I mean, immersion in a fantasy sense is kind of like the world is limitless, but you have to stay in this box and look at it all from within your own mind while trying to play a fantasy game. My immersion is pretty loose, but you know, that's just me.
What were you saying, Rita? You were
basically the
up
same
with...
thing.
Yeah,
basically the same thing, that, you know, in a magical world, if there's children involved that you need to keep safe and entertained and happy to be where they're gonna be, why would you not make them a stuffed mount?
Yeah,
stuffed teddy bear, here you go, hop on that, we gotta go, come on.
That actually brings up the other point of dyeing armor and stuff like that, and people were saying like you shouldn't be able to dye your armor like random colors for the same reasons. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, if you want to look good, I'm not going to put on a neon green, but I'm a dwarf and I have my own taste, and that's, you know, everyone in Ashes is going to come into it with their own ideas and concepts that they would love to see come to life. And if there's an army of rainbow technicolored Vec out there that just want to parade around, you know.
Just saying, just because you can't party as hard as we can, there's no reason to be jealous. No reason to be jealous.
I mean, I just hope that my Iron Guard can have a uniform, and that's where I stand with dyeing armors, and
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be pretty easy. So
Yeah.
as long as I'm
Dwarves
happy,
brought to you by
I'm-
Mountain Dew.
There you go. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
Bad idea.
Yeah. So like some of the things in chat, hello Doomgrim. Says anyone who says you shouldn't be able to dye their armor random colors and for immersion clearly know nothing about medieval ages where knights had bright colors to be seen and written into history.
Yep.
And then tie-dye entertainment says you can make your hair most colors with natural dyes IRL, so why not in game?
That's right.
And then Meat Hook says, have to agree with Bergund there. Ashes might be a more serious story, but it's not like no one had any happiness or sense of humor. Yeah. Rape Party Dwarf. Yeah, absolutely. For some reason, when you said that, I imagined like the Vec, instead of like a disco ball, it's just like brightly colored armor and then just shining lights everywhere to make like all the different colors. And then
I like it.
Mountain Brew says Roclaw.
Mountain Brew. I like that.
Mountain
Miss
Brew, I
Kitten
like it.
Bridges says, I just don't want mounts that don't fit in with the world. If it doesn't look like something that should be walking with a caravan through Vera, it will throw off my immersion. And I mean, I kind of get that, but it sounds like I want to be a dwarf. Oh my gosh. But like, I understand that perspective, but the
Totally
other side of it is, the other side of it is, like, it depends on what the lore is behind the mount, though. Like, it may not have to do with the caravan, but it might have something else to do with the world, you know? The extra small dwarf. Oh, man.
You started.
I might have to make an alt that is a dwarf just to appease the masses now.
Feeling another alt coming on.
Right.
No, that's my first alt. What do you mean another alt?
Just wait. We'll make
No,
it your
see, you're
main.
gonna have the potion one that's gonna be one type of cleric. You're gonna have another, probably a gatherer. It's gonna be a type of cleric. You're gonna have a bunch of clerics.
Yeah,
It could
that's
be
true.
a cleric something
do-
party.
I mainly play cleric, so I imagine all my alts will be like some variation of cleric. I plan on doing that during A2, having max out all of the character slots and do each archetype mixed with the cleric main.
I mean,
So.
in D&D, a dwarf cleric is pretty BA. So,
Honestly, that's true.
True.
you know.
Yeah, but
So with being a cleric and Ashes being a PvP game is in some rates, what is your approach going to be? What kind of secondary are you thinking as far as like combat wise, or do you think going, I don't know, pure cleric?
I feel like I think that's what Alpha 2 is going to be about for me. A lot of is testing the waters with the different secondary archetypes and seeing how they interact with the primary archetype and which direction I like it the most. Granted, it's not the final. So like my decision in Alpha 2 might be cleric bard, but then later in beta 1 be cleric summoner or something like that. So it would just pray harder. It would just be one of those things where I think it would take time, and I plan to do a lot of guides, but not in terms of like how to build your cleric. But mainly like how the different secondary archetypes would affect the primary archetype. Like that's my plan with my kind of own content with that in terms of guides. But
Think for the hydrate celery.
yes, hydrate. Thank you. Sorry, I was getting my forever long sentence out. But yeah, Well, that actually is a perfect segue, might I add, into our gameplay elements. And you guys have requested that we talk about Ashes of Creation metas. So I will let you guys choose that since that was your proposed topic.
Yeah, it was basically just a question that I had for the community and for you all. And it's a question that I keep asking myself is like, what most MMOs that we've played, YouTubers and or other content creators and or just the in circle of people playing together, they come up with, you know, this is the build that will make you succeed in this dungeon or in this against this world boss, and it be a fixed environment basically the whole way through. And with the number of variables that's in Ashes of Creation, imagine a YouTuber trying to make what is called a meta build. And how long is that video going to have to be to really give the full context of where that meta build will actually be the meta? If it's because, you know, you could come across a standard group of other players, or you could come across a group of 8 rangers that are grouped together, and, you know, the meta that you had before might not work, especially because they're really trying to hammer in this rock, paper, scissors system. And considering the craft and where the resources come from and the citizens of the nodes changing what is available within those nodes, and the diversification of the locations and all of that having to do with the resources that are around. What do you all think about metas in Ashes? I'm really curious because I've been trying to wrap my head around it, and I'm not sure there is going to be a one meta or like a, you know what I mean?
That's my thought. Is there if there is going to be a meta, it may not be for long, and otherwise there would be multiple metas that are situational. Those are the two things that I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Like it's exactly going to be a completely situational thing.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be a meta.
Really... Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. But you the guest. Go ahead.
It wouldn't really be like a meta. It'd just be a class top tier preference for, I think, every server, because I think that even with just a meta of like a certain race on a certain server based on where nodes are and things, it's going to change every server. And every node, you know, so you got node, server, you know, your race picking, you know, your materials that you're going to be crafting and gathering. There are just way too many variables that the true definition of meta isn't going to be there.
Right. And then also thinking of like the nodes, like you said, they just revealed last month that there's going to be the different kind of things that they can enact per node, and that's going to change drastically how the node affects you as a character, and how your character then with your build is interacting with the world and other people's individual node builds. So interesting.
Right. Yeah, like Steven said, I think recently, the idea of one node being the meta location is not possible in the game because there's too many variables. There's too many opportunities around every corner. It seems like there's limitless ways to make any situation ideal.
I propose the idea of the personal meta. The meta that's best for you, like, and what you want out of your character. Right, because imagine if someone sees that YouTube video.
That's a crazy concept.
Meta tank build, and someone makes that meta tank build, and they're like, I think we as a player base in some ways are somewhat reliant on that system of like hand-holding to understand and rock the game. But I think it's going to have to rethink that as far as a player base, because if you follow that tank meta, whatever it might be, and then you encounter something that's completely different, you're going to have a hard time finding the same scenario for that situation that tank build was seen as a good choice to go with.
Yeah. I think it's kind of agreeing with a lot of the statements that are going on here myself. That it's definitely going to be a situational meta type of thing. Like when you go here, you're going to want this type of tank and this type of ranger build and this type of rogue build, etc., etc. But when you go there, the same party won't be nearly as good as having, you know, a rogue with this type of build instead. And I know some people have said even specific types of content, like I think somebody even mentioned it in here somewhere a few moments ago, where things like sieges might have a meta, like bring more tanks or what have you. But if you think about it, if it's purposely being designed with a rock, paper, scissors, as soon as somebody's like, hey, we can totally win every time if we just bring all tanks, the very next time they go into a siege and they try to bring all tanks, somebody is bringing all rogues or whatever is the rock to its scissors. And they're gonna die instantly. They're gonna get wiped out. You'd completely eviscerated.
The big thing about party compositions is this. I think if it sticks, I'm hoping it does. The idea of group summons and or a group of the same class making a mega version of their main spell or something like that. You know, a group of 8 summoners actually summoning a giant golem or something like that, or a group of 8 rangers creating a cloud of arrows. And, you know, that's not going to be a normal composition for a party, but it could be something that's really effective in a lot of ways because no one's expecting it. And or, you know, there's all kinds of strategies that are going to come from this. I'm very excited to dig in.
Yeah. What do you think, Thoghli?
I just don't think metas are going to be a thing. There's too many people. You're going to have too many choices. There's too many variables for the meta talk to really be viable. Because a lot of people, you know, you have meta builds, you have content creators trying to say, hey, this is the best thing for this one situation. But really, what really gets me is the fact that the servers are not going to be the same, you know. So that may be a meta quote unquote build for that server, that specific time, that area. Just trying to make that all happen again is not really a thing to me. I would rather, you know, players find what works best for them and what they prefer, like you said, you know, what your meta, your personal meta, and go with that. Because that's what'll make the game fun. That's what you'll enjoy, and that's overall, I mean, gonna be what this MMO is about. Right,
absolutely.
And like another super high IQ thought is so if a group comes up with what they consider the meta for like a dungeon or raid, right? And so they announce that to the world, like, we found the meta, this is going to work the best, it's going to be the insert whatever statement they want to make about that open world dungeon or raid or event, and they just gave a blueprint to whoever wants to take them down because of, again, the rock, paper, scissors, and they can swoop in, and yeah, that's the meta for getting destroyed by the other team coming in and stealing your boss kills. Good job. Good job.
Yep.
It's dwarven time.
It's dwarven
time. That's pretty good, Rockwell. That's really good.
All right. All right.
I like it. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Sorry, there's so many tabs. I'm just like clicking everywhere. Metas are usually based on some type of imbalance, so sometimes the counter doesn't exist. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there's gonna be like, and it kind of means like, what does meta mean to you, almost, you know? Because for somebody who's primarily into, let's just say crafting, their meta will be able to craft things better. Right? Not combat. So that'll be meta for them. Or like economy. Maybe somebody who can kill things fast and get the things that are worth a lot of gold, or able to sell for a lot of gold quicker. because they're able to kill things faster. Like that might be more meta for them. But I also noted somebody saying 1v1 versus group v group could be a big difference. But that I feel like comes down also to how you build your primary secondaries. So,
right.
And
I mean, you would think a high. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to respond real quick to Overthrow saying, that's the one exception that I will give about metas just not really existing, and that's when there is a serious imbalance that just pops up in the game. Like during part of the Alpha 1 where Steven was recording a video about a certain dragon fight, the meta was be Chibi and Vertec and find the secret pants. That gives you GM level health and you don't die at all. And during later parts of the Alpha 1, the meta was don't be a tank, because we got put in the garbage and I couldn't do much damage. I couldn't hold crit. I couldn't heal myself.
I was out tanking the tank as a cleric.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, thanks for taking care of everything. I'm just gonna sit here and try to take threat off if I can't take the threat off of you at all. And if I could, I would die anyway. So whatever.
Sad tank noises.
Yeah, pretty much.
Honestly, it went pretty well when I finally got to the right level and put a point into one of the stats that gave the tank mana or something like that with one of my abilities, and then that's when the tank started like shining. Sad plate armor noises.
Yeah, but then you had to use that ability like every time it came off cooldown. If you missed it once, that became useless.
Yeah. So it became very reliant on like the tank in general for that testing became very reliant on the cleric. And so if you didn't have a cleric in your party, I can't imagine you would have gotten very far as a tank solo.
Nope.
But that actually kind of brings me to the next thing about questing with people. From Asger on the forums, group questing, wish list, and wish nots. Things that you want and don't want. Pardon me?
In a party?
Yeah, so basically they're mentioning quest sharing, shared objective completion, single player looting, quest items only dropping for those on quests. Would you have anything you would add? Like, is there anything that you would prefer and not prefer from group questing? Like, I know it was really nice to share kills, if you will, with World of Warcraft, where if you slayed one thing, it counted for everybody instead of, okay, let's wait 5 minutes for the thing to respawn. I guess go take a break real quick, and when it pops, we'll get them again so the next person can get them. Like, that would really slow down group play content. But I don't know, like things like that. What are your thoughts?
I think that killing creatures, I like it and don't like it at the same time if you share it, because if you have a good group of people, you get a benefit of just rapidly going through the quest and just killing everything, and then it's kind of yay, we did that for nothing. But I also hated having to wait minutes just for something to respawn. It's kind of one of those things where questing I like to do by myself, and a lot of group content that I kind of look at and look for is more so for dungeons and raids and things like that. I just feel like questing in general is kind of a single player kind of thing. So I don't know, sometimes you your small bosses, your mini bosses who it takes 3, 5 people, 8 people to help bring down, but I've never been one who liked to do a lot of quest sharing and things like that, so
that makes sense.
I kind of like the idea that we don't have quest sharing, because it still feels like in Ashes your adventure is your own. There's very little rails that we're going to be following or like writing down to just experience this theme park, because we're truly making the story for our characters and the experiences that they go through, the quests that they go through. And so sharing a quest that's a part of your journey, but the other person has no idea who you talk to, no idea. I mean, sure, they can join your group and help you complete the thing, but I don't think, because sharing quests means that they would get credit for this journey that you're on when they're already going to be getting credit for helping and, you know, completing the content. But the quest XP, I just don't see it it working within the system in some ways.
What if, because correct me if I'm wrong, what if, because I believe Ashes is supposed to do that whole like reactive thing where like there's the AI that learns from you, so it gets harder. What if it realizes if you're in a group against it and it adds more enemies or something to make it more difficult than if you were solo doing the content?
Like it scales up.
Yeah. What if it would something like that?
I think that's what they said they were going to do in raids, at least.
Yeah, raids and dungeons at least.
I heartily disagree.
He has a valid point.
I should not get corruption if I refuse to heal somebody who's refusing to pay attention to mechanics.
I mean, true.
Taking damage without moving could also add corruption.
Can it get corruption if they pull too much?
No, it's not a thing. Never. Never.
Oh my god. But
because I think if you quest share, it's almost going to take away that whole experience of the person finding that random encounter in the woods, and you know, it'll encourage folks to be like, "What? You have this quest? Oh, sure, I'll help you, but who did you talk to?"
yeah.
Oh, well, that's quest sharing. Go talk to that person that I talked to over there and get that started for yourself, because it's really exciting what I'm doing right now. Sort of, you know, player-made quest sharing, not an in-game mechanic that is a convenience factor because you weren't in the dungeon at that time when this raid boss gave you a quest at the end just before he died or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I've always been a fan of the quest sharing and like quest completion sharing and all that, and smartly adjusting the goals required of some quest when you're in a party, I think is an interesting solution to some of that. Like if the quest is for you to collect like 5 pig heads for, you know, mounting on a wall because the person's a big fan of pork or something, and then you join a party and suddenly both of you need to collect 3, and now you got to get this person 6 heads just to complete his quest. That's kind of silly, because just a minute ago he only needed 3, but as soon as you said hello, you find out he actually needs 6. Now, God forbid you get another party member, and next thing you know, you're just slaughtering an entire village worth of pigs just so he can mount 1 wall worth of, you know, bacon fandom.
So many pig heads, he won't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, but if you just made it so that like a pristine example of a pig head fell on a rarer occasion in a party, but you all completed it, so be it. I need 10 pig heads. No, I need 20.
Oh my gosh. I like
things
what
like that I could be a
Overthrow.
fan of.
Overthrow says maybe you share the task, but not the narrative.
See, but then what if you're legitimately, like say for instance, me and Chibi, we're going to start the game at the same time. We're probably going to have one set of characters that we're going to be questing through and leveling at the same time and keeping pace, right? Well, why should we be penalized for trying to stay together? By having to do quests multiple times, or not completing it together, or we have to wait till one of us does it and then go back and do it with the other person, and it just becomes a pain in the neck instead of just sharing the quest, sharing objectives, things like that.
Yeah. It is definitely a fine line that they're walking in some ways, because convenience has in some ways improved gaming as a customer's experience sort of thing. But in other ways, the convenience has been our downfall in the MMO genre, at least. So you know.
Rockall, that is great.
I don't know. There's so many of them in a string that I just like the Ezekiel King. Wait, there are 41 of us in chat. 123 pig heads. Let's go. So if the quest giver gets too many pig heads, does he stop giving the quest? A quest that can go different directions due to the event system or where the node is currently at, leading to some really secretive quest chains. See, I like that idea.
Yeah, that'd
But
be
then
cool.
it gets right back to the silly stuff. He becomes a pork vendor. Attention players, due to the shortage of pigs, we're disabling the kill pigs quest at this time.
And I chimed in with that server shall now be pigless if there's 41 of us looking for pigs. The pigs are now extinct, and that is now a rare species.
Over farming the pigs.
Yeah.
Jam Patter, put that in the Book of Grudges.
All right.
What about that, actually? What about that? What if there is such event that, I mean, in real life, I know that high fantasy is like this fine fiddle between real and fantasy, but what if you did kill too many of like whatever type within a time period that it became
Event.
either an event or like they became rare, so maybe they became like a more valuable spawn because they were like killed off for the most part?
Or the resident monster pig mother in the mountain recognizes that all her babies are gone now.
Oh no,
Oh,
the
geez.
golden piglet. Zombie dwarves, no. No more tacos al pastor. Why continue to live in Vera?
Drew's gonna have a field day.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that'd be funny. I mean, honestly, that kind of brings us back to like even RP-ish events of like being a crafter and picking too many of the druid's flowers, and then the druid gets angry because you took from their grove, you know?
Mhm.
But since we're talking about dwarves being extinct or undead, and that it sounds like a summoner cleric thing, should family summons be removed because they can be exploited? Can they be truly exploited?
I don't know. Isn't there a cooldown? Like, wasn't there a cooldown that was supposed to happen with the family summons?
Yeah, there were a bunch of limitations put on it. Like, for one, you could only have, I think it was a family of 8, and I think, and don't quote me on this part, but I think if you get married, you add a +1 to that family. You could actually have 9 with your spouse. There was like a 30-minute cooldown, I think it was, and you couldn't travel with like raw materials.
Yeah, you'd have to have empty bags, right?
Yeah.
Same with the air travel.
Yeah, like the blimp travel and then the portal for scientific node. You have to have like no raw materials. My question is then, if you're trying to relocate, does that mean you'd be forced into putting all of your stuff into a caravan and trekking that across the world just to go live to a different node?
Yes.
I would hotkey auto run, and I would completely binge watch some Netflix series,
Well,
and I would move piece by piece.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, how would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
If you want to just change node the citizenships, or
Just saying, like, for example, in the case that, like, let's say you're part of a node and then you get sieged and that node delevels and there's another similar node or another secondary node that has been built up somewhere else. So you plan to move there maybe as a group or a guild and go inhabit that node as a citizen, since this node has been demolished and gone back to level 1, essentially.
right? Well, I think it's hard to know exactly what the situation's going to be like after a node collapses. None of us have ever experienced anything like that before,
Right.
and it feels like it's going to be a madhouse afterwards, because it's probably in similar ilk that you only are going to lose the harvestable goods. maybe some processed goods. I'm not quite sure. There's still a lot to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you wanted a caravan to carry your goods, you would need a caravansary
right.
from a different node because that node just collapsed.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that'd be some pretty intricate planning, but I guess no, because you would need to load the caravan at the caravansary.
Yeah. So like there's some complexity there,
Totally.
What happens? But I derailed us a little bit. I apologize. We were talking about the family summons. But I mean, yeah, that was just something that I was thinking of is like, how would that work?
What if the family summon is only to like your home, like your freehold or, wherever it is that you're going to be bringing people to instead of out in the world?
Almost like if it were a Hearthstone, like it's bound to one place.
A little bit.
Like I could see that. I wonder if there's going to be rested XP situations in Ashes.
It would make sense too for a family to be called home, or a family summons going home.
If I recall, and I'm gonna actually pull this up on Wiki before I make myself seem totally inept here, but if I recall correctly, I think somebody asked the question at one time, even asking or getting clarification that the 8 people in the family are the 8 people in the family.
Cheers.
And you can't be like part of another family or something.
Right.
Hydrate away. Because originally I had thought, well, heck, that'd be easy. You can make a giant spider web of all the people in your guild, right? Just 8 people have 8 people, and those people are members of a bunch of different families. But I think that I just threw that idea in the garbage can because I think Steven said something about that and said, no, it's 8 people in the family and that's it. You can only be in one family.
Right.
Yeah, you can only have one family tie.
So 8 members max, and you're not joining this person's family, you're joining the family. Which you make collectively together. So yeah, that doesn't seem like it can be gamified, because if Thoghli's in someone else's family, I wouldn't be able to branch my 8 family members with the 7 that are my real like community family, and then add Thoghli in, because then we can start networking and all transfer to Thoghli if we want. It all leads to Thoghli. I don't think that's possible, right?
Well, actually, while sitting here thinking, I haven't looked it up yet. Let me before I say anything else here.
Welcome to the family.
All right.
Ah, man, I'll have to get married again.
Shucks.
But yeah, I wanted to highlight Miss Kittenbridge is saying, I think despite a cooldown, it could still be abused to family summon everyone to an area near a caravan, or if they will family summon everyone to a boss one move for the boss instead of planning ahead of time, moving their party there the day before, etc. But a lot of people are saying that, they agree with summoning to a house, that sounds better, or that would be okay if it's bound to like the citizen node, things like that. Being a part of a family and somebody like living off and being a citizen of node A, and another family member could be a citizen of node B. They could only get them to node B and not anywhere outside of the node, but that's closer than node A was, kind of thing.
What if it's only one family member you can summon, or summon 2 at a time, and with a 30-minute cooldown, if you wanted to summon all 8 together, that would take 2 hours, 4 hours, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Sorry, Mad Hatter. Yeah, no, I definitely, I'm seeing where you're going with that. That's a good idea. Head of household only.
So just being able to select one family member that, if you call them, both of you have just activated your family summons for 30 minutes and you can't use it again.
Yeah, like a chain, like you can't call person B who calls person C and so on and so forth. that makes sense. I could see that. Pain summoning, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause the only way I could actually see that working is if, and I wasn't able to right now immediately find a supporting or denying statement on the spouse adding an extra summon here. But if that was the case, then it would be these 8 people here plus 1, right? And this person is in their own separate family because their plus 1 is this one here. So you could literally summon your spouse, who could then summon their family, who then they could summon their spouse, who is the plus 1. So it could be set up kind of like that, but
Right, you're not married to the 8 people in your family. There is that connection, or like the heartfelt connection.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, there is potentially that, but again, looking at the wiki anyway right now, as we speak, I could not find a supporting or denying statement on that. I just believe that was part of what he said.
Mad Hatter, you're really trying to get me on that subject, aren't you?
Uh-oh. The summoner thing?
Yeah. That's a
I have
topic.
a feeling that's gonna be a topic today. That
That
I'm
might
not
be
sure if you see it.
Post-show topic.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I'm not sure if you see it in the notes there. It's written really small, but topic 3 was adjust.
It's so small, it's almost unable to be seen.
Right.
It's almost like it wasn't actually written there. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then the final thing is the talk about support classes and how that could be used. And I'm used to right clicking to paste, I think because of Discord. And I keep accidentally, for whatever reason, I think wherever paste is, I keep going into DevTools on accident, and it's not doing what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I keep trying to right click to paste because of friggin' putty.
Oh.
Right click, right click.
But they were talking about, have you had experience grouping with a true support class or playing one yourself? What is your honest opinion on their usefulness versus spreading support abilities amongst all other classes? So a pure support role versus multiple roles that have a support ability.
Mad Hatter's really gonna enjoy that. I mean, I kind of agree. You know, Summoner could be a real support class, but I feel like the Bard is going to be your go-to support class because of the things that they're looking at doing.
Right.
I like playing support classes, but a lot of times when I do play a support class, I get too heavily involved in it. And I talked about this before a little bit, and I'm going in to be a summoner. So I have a feeling that as a summoner, if you mix that with the Bard or just have a summoner, you can really get into trying to cut this down. You really get into how much support you want to try and be. Because Bard I could see support, a summoner I could see as support. I can even see a little bit of what's the other class? The Rangers.
Ashes and Nurses, I don't think Summoners pure support. I think they're role fluid and can fill needed gaps in the group.
Yeah, kind of the same with the Bard though too, because you know those two, you really fill in what you're needing based on whatever boss you're going into. I'll get lost in that. I really will, you know, because if I could be a supporter just in multiple facets, it'll definitely.
Sorry, it randomly gifted a sub to somebody, and the sub that got it was TLDR LOL.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
really quick, I didn't want to interrupt you talking there, but thank you for the sub Beck, thank you for the sub celery. Thank you for
And the bits.
the bits as well, celery. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for the support. We appreciate it.
Very, very kind.
But yeah, someone kick off the hype train. Yeah, you need like one more person. Like it has to be 3 different people, or I've seen people engage it with an anon stuff. So hacks, you know, Twitch hacks.
I still say, you know, if someone were to drop like, I don't know, 20 gift subs, I think it should just immediately kick off a train, right? Right?
That's fair.
We should test it. Somebody want to just go ahead and drop 20 gift subs? I'm joking. Don't do that. It's insanity. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Thoghli, before we, like, not really interrupted, but like...
I think I'm done.
Okay.
I'll go on for all night about that.
Okay. I'm just streaming stuff. What is a hype train? A hype train is when people are supporting different things. It's usually through bits, also known as cheers, and subs. So if you subscribe with a Prime, or if you gift a sub, or outright buy a sub, that counts. And then if you gift us a bit cheer, then that counts as well. And it's just it's a hype support train, if you will. And if you get to certain levels, they give out emotes as a thank you. But it's just something that Twitch has to encourage people supporting content creators that they like. I try to get the hype train card. I know, Zeller Bro. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Yes.
But Vertic, it sounded like you had something you wanted to say.
Thank you, Bergund. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm a big supporter as
Thrown out
well.
of sub.
Ooh.
But
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
What?
Who redeemed Devil's Advocate?
That would be overthrow.
Oh, that'd be overthrow. Oh man.
What's Devil's
Okay,
Advocate?
Yeah, Devil's Advocate means that we have to defend talk about the subject from the other side, not necessarily our side, but play Devil's Advocate. And the topic is, what if the pig mother is a member of your family? Well, you know what? I would like to have the pig mother be a member of my family, because then I will always be able to be surrounded by cute little piglets. So I guess I'd have to go out and protect them, and I'd have to fight off all of the adventurers trying to kill all the little piglets, because I can't have the pig mother upset.
Well,
Thank you, Ezekiel King.
What's supposed to be the opposite side of that? What is the pig mom?
I don't know.
I would protect
I think
pig
the opposite
mother.
side would be the pig mother. I think in this
Be the
scenario,
pig mother.
I am now pig mother, and
Okay, so
I'm pissed. I'm really upset. All my babies.
Oh my gosh! So you were there during the slaughter of what was it? 132 piglets? Is that what it was? 123 piglets. Oh no.
Oh, he'll pig
Right.
mother Bergund. and just to add a little bit of salt to the wound, here you go, overthrow.
Shame.
Ding ding ding. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Tie-dye entertainment. Where were you during the pig cleanse?
Oh my gosh. Custom titles. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This could be a good monster event. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, when you talk about pig cleanse, is it cleaning the pigs, or is it putting mud on them?
That's a good question.
I think it was the cleansing of mud to remove the pigs.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. How we derailed.
Thank you, Overflow. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a topic derail. There we go. All right.
Ezekiel, also, thank you for the support. I just wanted to add that. And the Anon, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Yes. Replacing
also-
all your meals with bacon grease.
You happened to give a sub to my friend when I wrote. She joined us for our first Monday live stream here on TGF Tavern, and she's joining my D&D campaign after our D&D sessions are over with the current campaign. But I'll get back to that later. I noticed who it randomly gave it to, so thank you. Appreciate that.
Sweet.
But yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, back on the topic though of support.
Oh, yeah. So, sorry, I wanted to say before we veered off, I was gonna say I think it's the bard is going to be intended to be much more support than anything else, rather than filling roles, because that's something Steven seemed pretty passionate about. Is like an actual support class, like an actual support class. So somebody that's doing maybe like 20% of the damage of a DPS or something, like ridiculously low. You may as well not try to do damage unless you have nothing else to do and you're just going to contribute a couple shin kicks. But other than that, you sit over there, you play your flute and buff us.
Yeah.
I could see Summoner being like a control support, and then I like it. And then the bard being like the buff debuff support.
Yeah, I could see that. Now here's the question Miss Kitty Bridges says, should a class only purely have support abilities? They would have to have a partner to go out into the world and kill mobs or do quests with, which I kind of experienced a little bit as a holy priest with you in WoW, where by myself I wasn't really able to do a whole lot of damage. But with you would do the damage and I'd keep us both alive, kind of thing. So I felt like that's pretty close to pure support in terms of WoW, at least. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing how. Okay, Ezekiel. I'm interested in seeing how the bard and the summoner work, and I wonder if isn't there like another role that's pure support?
Isn't cleric considered support?
I think it's.
I think a tank is a tank.
DPS.
The cleric is considered healer. The cleric's considered healer. Everybody else except for bard is DPS, and then maybe the summoner might be support as well.
I feel like cleric. I feel like healer is in that support part of the rock paper scissors.
What was it? Roll.
Like it's tanking,
where would
DPS, and support.
Oh no, yeah, they were talking about there's the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
Heal DPS, but they were adding some support on top of that, so it was actually a quadrinity
DPS support.
instead.
Trinity of tank, DPS, and support. Healer or non-healer roles are included, and that's straight off of roles from the wiki. And I'll grab that and I'll put that in there. By the way, if you guys are ever wanting to look something up, we love Lex and all of the content creators that work so hard to put the wiki together. So exclamation mark wiki, if you ever want to look something up real quick, we have a quick link straight to there. But yeah, no, cheers indeed. I'll include on that. But yeah, so support is heals and non-heals, as in terms of Ashes of Creation's definition of the Trinity. I almost said
kind of weird,
triumvirate.
to be honest.
I kind of feel like the Trinity is a little bit different in Ashes, because in other games there's PvP servers, PvE servers, or there's PvP zones and PvE zones. There's going to be some of that in Ashes, but corruption is going to be all over the place. And on seas, it's going to be completely wide open. So the idea of being a support class in other games is like, yeah, got my role. I know exactly what I need to do. The dungeon's laid out for me. I've got the group that, you guys got all the roles filled out that we needed from this strategy that we're using. I know what I need to do. Let's go. But with, it could happen a couple times with an open world dungeon that you don't get bothered by other players when in. But I think being a support and diversifying your build a little bit with a secondary that's maybe trying to break the triangle or break the rock paper scissors to be impervious to two of the sides or something like that. But the concept of being a full support, I feel like you'd have to choose the primary and secondary being the same thing, like a dirge, or I'm sorry, a cleric or a healer, or I'm sorry, a cleric or a bard, with the minstrel, I believe it is, and the high cleric, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
Let me pull that up.
High priest.
Yeah, high priest.
So the high priest and the minstrel, I think, are like the pure support classes in some ways. Maybe mixing the two of them would
That
also
still would be
included.
support, I think, because
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
bard is a support and cleric is a support, and let's say you do bard cleric or cleric bard, you are either primarily healing people through bardic tendencies, or you are primarily supporting people and allowing them to maybe, like, I imagine a bard cleric being something like a heal over time capability, or maybe a health buff. And then I'm ignoring that. And then cleric bard could be primarily healing with like other added buffs over time. Like maybe there's a big heal initially with like a heal over time happening afterwards or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm really curious about, because I know that and thanks by the way for digging that up, Overthrow.
Yeah.
With the definitions there and whatnot. But the thing I'm really curious about is how the support classes are really going to be done, because for one, they can't be 100% support. They just you'll never get anything done in the world out there, like, ever. I know they want to make it a team game and all, but you wouldn't be able to do anything outside of gathering with a pure support that does nothing but just buff and stun, and that's all you do. You'd be able to run away really well, and you'd be able to punch somebody in their face with a super powered punch that's still not going to hurt nearly as hard as dropping your sword on their foot. So
Sorry, I'm having a slight disagreement with chat.
Uh-oh.
We're trying to figure out who's the Pied Piper. I said Bard Summoner. Mad Hatter said Cleric Summoner, and Rokla says no, Summoner Cleric. But I mean, the Pied Piper, you're doing DPS through calling animals. So he's playing a flute, which is primary, and calling animals, which is secondary. I don't know.
You could have just straight been a rogue
Bard Ranger.
and was good at coercing people.
True.
A rogue bard. I feel like summoner has to be in there though, because you have to summon all the creatures, right? So anyway, being thrown off by chat. I was just saying classes. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things there. I think in that new light, then I join in with Thoghli of enjoying doing support classes in terms of Ashes, because I enjoy it. It's fun. I like being able to kind of be able to come in clutch for that. Well, you guys do all the heavy lifting while I keep you alive. Like I've always said, my boss is the raid, and the raid's boss is the boss. Like I fight the health bars, y'all fight the boss. Like it works for me. Like it gives me something to keep track of, and it's a lot to handle, and it's a big task, especially in a raid environment.
Yeah.
Like imagine having 50 bosses to try to fight at once. Like that's a healer with your health bar.
Yep.
Though I'm interested in seeing how that works in terms of Ashes, where to heal you have to physically attack things. It's not just sitting there casting healing spells. That health has to come from somewhere, right? Their whole idea of take health to give health. There has to be a balance of a flow, which feels very druidic to me.
Why can't they just hand out some Mentos? They seem pretty magical.
But yeah, the Rat King. Oh gosh, chat, you guys are just going all crazy. But Miss Kitten Bridges says if gathering includes killing plant mobs to gather from them, then for a peer support, that wouldn't be a soloable task. I think you're able to do damage. I think it depends on like what happens when you do damage. Like I think you should be able to every class should be able to quest on their own. There should be no class that is purely dependent on another person to be able to run with them. Unless you're going literally 100% leaning into crafting or something like that, and you're not really doing a whole lot of leveling yourself, then you're reliant on people that actually do the fighting a lot to kind of get you there. But I mean, I do see your point, but I think it's one of those things where it's best to keep that worry in check a little bit until we see how the support classes work, and then we'll have a better idea. Yeah, I'll have to level as fast as possible, otherwise I will start crafting and not hit max level for 6 months. That's fair.
I don't think any class by itself should be able to do like main story arcs by themselves. You know, the menial stuff that comes from nodes and things like that. But then again, it brings me to a question about the religious node.
Yeah, sorry. I just realized it was 9.
Uh-oh. We're flying.
Time flies.
It flew really fast. Usually I'm a little bit more on top of it.
Well, if we should change directions. Do we have a time constraint?
Thoghli, do you have a time constraint?
Not really.
We could probably wrap up the like in-depth conversation for the podcast and then save the more in-depth topics for the post-podcast talk. That way we can go a little deeper there. So people who are replay watching this later aren't like, man, it's a 3-hour podcast this week.
Not to mention, got to grab some nibbles and get me a drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and we still need to talk about the HelloFresh too.
Yes, we do. But also, since we're talking support classes and rangers and stuff, and Steven released something on Twitter, literally not even an hour before we went live. Why help bullying him? Oh no. But yeah, complete what you were saying though, Bergund. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just literally caught me off guard that it was basically 9 o'clock.
So, all right. Talking about support classes, I guess I had been a competitive raider in other MMOs and loved healing, and that was my shtick. And you know, it was a game that had a lot of diversification within the build. You can kind of just make your own thing, and I always felt like if I tried to like just get a little bit of support, whether it be some buffs and just like a heal or two, and then I can add some diversification and get some DPS spells or get some talents that, you know, make me a little bit bulkier or the raid a little bulkier. I felt like I was sacrificing too much, and not the support class is there to be supportive, and if it's like a half and half mixed in, you got to have a bunch of support classes that are half and half so that you can actually get the benefits of having support classes. Because in some ways I feel like the sacrifice of trying to diversify in terms of support classes is taking away from their purpose altogether. Like, yeah, a little buff here is great, but man, if we had a pure bard, a minstrel,
they'd be able to buff everybody. Yeah,
absolutely right.
Yeah, and
or for
I
longer,
think,
or
that was the weird thing with WildStar, I think, for me, is they didn't, if I'm correct, the WildStar didn't have a pure healing class. Everybody had a little bit of healing for themselves. Am I remembering that correct?
No.
Or was that a
it.
different game? There was a game that we played that they didn't have a healer class. Everybody had a little bit of healing for themselves.
I know that's how Guild Wars is. That's how a bunch of games are
But Guild
nowadays,
Wars
to
2
be
does
honest.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking of,
there's a good
Guild Wars 2.
handful.
Yeah. I played WildStar, I think, for what was it? Maybe a week with you before it went down.
Something like that, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very short blip on my timeline that I played WildStar, and same with Guild Wars 2. A very, very short blip on my timeline that I played that too. So if I'm getting them wrong, I apologize. I played a couple of other games much longer time frames, so they're easier for me to recall. But something like that, my point is being like, it kind of made me a little bit sad because then it's negating the whole purpose of like that role. Though I will say in terms of like D&D, where it's very different from World of Warcraft, where World of Warcraft, you're a dedicated healer. That's your main job. In D&D, a lot of people are pretty good at keeping themselves alive, and your main job isn't really just there to heal the party. It's to offer your support, but also to help with like attacking things. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a group with a forge cleric, but they destroy things, man.
Explosions.
Yeah. But yeah. Super interested in seeing how Ashes goes about that whole thing, because I don't want there to be no support classes, like you were saying, Bergund, with the whole having a little bit of buffs here and there versus a dedicated person doing much more intense buffs instead of light
Right.
buffs to yourself and maybe another person.
It would just have to be efficient players, because if the healer, or I'm sorry, the bard at that time isn't actually a bard, it's a bard fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually kind of just there to help everyone run a little bit faster. And it's sacrificing the fighter that they're trying to be and the bard that they're trying to be. And
Yeah.
so there's some really interesting balance that's going to have to work within the community that you're playing with, I think. If
Yeah.
there was a group of 8 fighter bards, that could possibly work, where there's, just the number of combos, the DPS is still covered, and the heals or the buffs are still covered. But that's going to require organization and some like compatibility and dependency on others. And I think
Yeah.
in a lot of ways that is something that they're trying to do in Ashes. It's just can't wait to get my hands on testing out the bard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the cleric. If there's ways to get a sweet combo going, I would love to find that. But it's a little bit hard to say. Too early.
Indeed,
Yeah.
I like
indeed.
thinking about it though.
Yeah, I know. I think I'd rather prefer there actually be a solid support class, or 2, even given different kinds of support that are very weak in every other area except support, but they excel in that, and then give every other party member or every other class like a support ability so they can do some support in the same manner as your supports can do some damage.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Ooh. But that's like a whole thing, I'm interested in seeing how that goes eventually. But
Indeed.
I think we should save the random topics for post-tavern talking, since they're just kind of random.
Sounds
Just to
good.
cut a little bit of time and get to like some of the official Ashes news and the fan focus. Speaking of official Ashes news, there's a bow on the screen, and somebody has already made the astute observation that they think that is Empyrean.
I can
It's a
see
chicken
that.
bow.
It does look frail. You're right.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm Pyre, so I can laugh at that.
Where is Grumpy?
I don't
Missing
know
his
where
chicken
Grumpy
bow.
is. No, right? No, I think it's a falconeer.
Like I said, a chicken. Bark, bark. Maybe even terror birds. Yeah, there we go.
There you are. But I mean, I'm excited for what is it? Is it next week already, or 2 weeks from now? We're only
It's
halfway.
next week already.
It is the 30th. Okay, so on the 30th, for more of the information to come out, I'm really excited. And
Let's hope for Dunir Rangers fighting Minotaurs.
One can
Can I
only
get a
wish.
collective? Can I get a collective manifestation? That's what we get.
yeah, that would be interesting.
Everybody
Just like
concentrate.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly disagree with being a vegan as a pirate. I am not a vegan. I that's all I'm saying on that front. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Minotaur death, right? End of speech. You know what, Overthrow? You can find me after this podcast. We'll have words.
Wow.
Words will be had.
Well, we will. It'll be
apparently.
the post-podcast Tavern talk. There'll be words.
Right?
I mean, you got a point there. It's true.
But yeah, then there's the node policies, which we chatted a little bit about during the last live stream, including like the Renkai's honor bound, where all node reputation changes are increased by 5%, and like the harvest where there's an increase in gathering speed. So that kind of goes back to the whole meta thing that we were talking about earlier, is like, what is your meta? And like, it depends on what kind of policies you have placed. Like, if your guild is the one that is the mayor of that node, and your guild is more RP or gather focused, it might be more of a increased gathering speed and maybe an asylum for other citizens who are refugees of a fallen node. Like, that is both RP systems I can think of from the examples they gave. Or even the construction upgrade speed is 10% faster, able to understand how to do stuff from the KLR industry thing. And so because of that, you're able to build things a little bit faster, make hardier weapons from being a Dunir, etc. I think those are all very cool.
They are. I was curious if the racial bit about it is placeholder, like replaceable. You know, the Pyre benefits, or, you know, just put Dunir there and it works on the Dunir node sort of thing.
Personally, I would
'Cause
assume
if-
probably not, because they seem very themed towards everything they've presented about them thus far, like the
Right.
Renkai Honor Bound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, that kind of it brings up the idea that there's going to be some serious testing and balancing, or maybe they're trying to like throw balance out the water and let there be natural power plays and
I mean, that is
chaos.
true. Like a node that has more military backing is going to be harder to fight against than a node with less military backing. But that being said, a node with more scientific knowledge or the library of information behind it will have more information on the world than a node without that. So they're going to have their benefits and deficits and hydrate. And I think that's a good point. Is like,
hydrates today.
Right? I think that's a good point, though, with the whole play to the power that you have kind of idea.
Right. But then, if there is a military node that has the extra benefits because they are, I guess, Dwarven, for example, not hoping, then maybe that's too much of a threat on the server, and the community that's on that server has to work together to take away some of the power and access that military node has. There's ways of rock, paper, scissoring in a way the node systems and allowing access. And so, it'd be interesting to see what the policy lists are like. I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Because some of those did seem really powerful, and I hope that they do stick.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't see why people shy away from just any kind of an imbalance between races or nations or what have you. Like, I totally understand the whole, but I want to be a whatever, but I don't want to if I can't do this. Well, then you're not going to do the thing. Sorry, I want to have a tank be super powered and be able to keep myself alive forever too, but that's just not what happens. And so be it.
Right.
Like, if I can't be like oh, go ahead.
It's almost like a parallel to our own lives,
Yeah, exactly.
We as a people, we have to we can't let fear of failure stop us from trying something.
Right.
And if we want to try something and we want to maybe master something, it takes the 10,000 hours, it takes lots of mistakes, and it takes keep working at it. And realizing that you can't necessarily do two different things at once and or have the best of all things. That's impossible. And so appreciating the thing that you want to chase after and what you have. And I think there's lots of parallels to real life in Ashes. And I think that's what the lore is about.
Yeah.
The teddy bear talk, with I think Steven's onto something philosophical, and it's making sense, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah, Mom always said you could be anything you wanted, but nobody ever said you could be everything you wanted.
Very true.
That is a good point.
Absolutely.
I want to be somebody who plays lots of video games, and September 12th was National Video Game Day. And they were wondering on Twitter, what is your favorite video game of all time and why?
I would say for myself, it's sad state of affairs nowadays, but World of Warcraft was my favorite video game because of the people and the experiences I've had with friends over the years. It's different now, but that's coming from lots and lots of years of playing. So
yeah.
I'm kind of stuck between two myself, either Ultima Online, just because, not really because it's the best game, but because it's the one that got me hooked on MMOs. Like, I don't think it's really the best one I played. It had some really cool systems and some stuff I'd love to see in games today, but I wouldn't call it the best, but it's among my favorite because it got me hooked. But the other one that I did name out on Twitter, on Twitch, I'm doing that right now, is WildStar, just because it had, like, I can't think of a game I loved more than WildStar, really. Like, as far as actual fun to play and good systems, good supporting everything until nearly the end, where they were just throwing everything they could at every wall to see what would stick anywhere. Because they had, like, they went from hundreds of people in the studio down to like 3 or something. Like one person on social media and one person in there just like banging their face on the keyboard, like, make something work. We've got to keep people.
Right.
I'm torn.
Yeah.
There's like 4 games that I love for different reasons, and none of them have everything together. But really quickly, I'll try to go through them all. EverQuest 2 was my first MMO. Nothing quite like an MMO experience when you're fresh into it and getting to build a community together. Amazing. EverQuest 2, top dog. Red Dead Redemption 2 online, because I was a part of a community that had a role play spin on it, where we were sheriffs fighting toxic griefers on whatever server we chose, and we would have classic shootouts. We would arrest them if they were, saying any kind of toxic stuff on their mics. We role played that they're high on drugs and talking nonsense, and we wrangle them up, and it was like the best role play / PvP experience I've ever had. And it was with a community that wanted to be sheriffs and respect the chains of command, and also tell a story, but also deal with random but consistent content. And it was amazing. NBA 2K is actually a pretty high up there one for me, because park games in that game. It's a sports game, it's basketball, but I come from MMO experiences, and in a consistent scrimmage, basically, between 2 teams of 3 people on mics, and it was just some of the best PvP. Is essentially what I'm trying to get to, because it was random, or there were fixed groups. The trash talk was all there, the high competition, the brief sessions, but just constantly going and going. It was really, really competitive, and I can't get enough of that. And then Division 2, because that's where I was doing a lot of competitive raiding, and the min-maxing in that game, and building really intricate and specific and different builds that could have an alternative or an anti-meta, or had the different classes. I loved that. And I actually went through their latest release of raids. Didn't use any. Went for world's first, basically, and didn't get world's first, but competitive raiding is tons of fun. So those are my 4.
So, was it like, I was gonna say, was it like a 6-way tie there? So, if you had to choose a favorite child and all the rest died in a fire, which one would it be?
Right.
5.
Right.
4. 3. 2.
Red Dead 2.
1. Okay.
Give me more people. Red Dead 2 online.
Okay.
Nice.
Red Dead 2 it is. Now we get to tell the other games that you chose a favorite now.
Ashes is by far my favorite so far. The waiting game MMO is amazing.
I thought it was really cool to see that Mad Hatter, this would be Mad Hatter's first MMO if Ashes comes out before they get the PC.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
awesome.
gonna be really cool.
Honestly, my favorite is World of Warcraft for MMOs. That was actually my first MMO, so like obviously the whole near and dear first MMO experience thing, but I played that with my dad. I was in my dad's guild. My dad was the guild leader, and
that's cool.
It was really fun to be a part of. I used to get really angry because like while I was like 13 or 14 at the time, everybody kept asking if I was a 13-year-old boy. And I was like, I'm not a boy.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's because like I'm small, and so my voice is just high pitch in general. Because of whatever reason, yay genetics. And so I had to try to defend, like, I'm a girl. I'm not a boy, but I am young. So like I understand the like younger thing. Although I always loved piping up with the whole "who's a miner here," and I'd be like me, but I knew they were meaning like the mining the ores.
That's funny.
But it was fun. Border Alliance, I played both. I was a dirty trader. I played both because I was very curious to see what the storyline was like on both sides. And after so long of playing so many Horde characters, I was like, well, what does the Alliance side look like? Why are people thinking that we're the enemy and things like that? So I decided to make an Alliance character and play through that storyline, and it was very interesting to see the differences. But yeah, that's ultimately, and then from there, it's just various pieces from different RPGs, like Assassin's Creed and Horizon Zero Dawn and etc. So yeah. And no, actually, I was really, really good at doing my homework and everything, to the point that I got really good grades. So I would already have my homework and stuff done, and then just be able to play video games as much as I want, as I flail around my hands and knock things off my desk. But
Karate chop it.
Yeah. But yeah. The other thing that they wanted to talk about is actually on that topic of playing MMOs and everything, is the giant boss, and how many people at what level do you think it would take to take him down, the Cyclops?
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, seeing his size compared to I guess a standard human.
Yeah, very different. That's
Way
a standard
bigger than I
human.
thought.
Imagine a dwarf next to that thing.
Oh, geez.
Right? Yeah, like a toenail cap.
I don't think dwarves are that good at climbing trees.
Or no. We're good at taking them down, though.
That's
Mhm.
bring out your axes.
I would say, honestly, a full raid.
Yeah.
Because, that big boss and the fact that it's roaming, I would probably say, top level. Like, you're getting up there in level, because a roaming boss like that's that big with a full raid, like, kind of sits on par a little bit with the dragons in my mind. So.
I don't know, because thinking about the underwater raid boss, the whale-looking thing, that was even bigger, and that's a 40-man raid.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I think it might be a 16-man raid, or an elite 16-man raid. Like, maybe it'll allow 40, but considering the size difference between the whale and that thing, they're both massive, but if the whale's 40-man, I think the Cyclops is 16.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're both pretty massive, but one is obviously much more massiver.
Yeah, much more.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Like a dragon would be a 40-man.
Yeah, easily, at least. I mean, the dragons that were in A1 were a lot of people in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly,
Right, maybe multiple raids.
yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, because it also depends on when would that Cyclops come out, if as a world boss. Because I imagine, I don't know, I guess there could be like a world boss that just roams regardless, just naturally. But then there's also event world bosses, but with him being like, I don't even, at minimum 10 times the size of a human, it's just like, I imagine close to like max level, like level 40 or something, being a thing. Although I thought I heard maybe might be one of the first bosses we hear about. So if that's the case, like from what I remember off of the live stream, that kind of makes me think maybe closer to like level 20 or 25. Because I imagine once you get closer to like your halfway point, that's when like the world bosses will start being a thing, I imagine.
So like an entry level like raid? Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that being a situation because you had to
The situation.
yeah. But like, I don't know, you barely get into the game and then this thing is like roaming around. It's crazy. But I think aside from that, we just have some fan focuses. Zeshio, did the Die Pyre. I believe this is a comic we've highlighted once before, but Intrepid has seen it, and it's always nice. We like Zeshio stuff. It's always nice to bring that back out. Plus, one of Vertex's favorites is Grand Thor, and Grand Thor has a new post from New Tales of Vera. You guys would like to check that out. Here's this while you're looking at the little comic strip about unlocking basic attacks.
They could never expect. Die Pyre. Hey, they don't even know. I just unlocked my basic attack.
And then aside from that, Anduin of the Grey Sentinels, who we had on, there is a new art showcase that they're doing. So I'll post that out there for you guys. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, the artwork that's been coming out of the Grey Sentinels has been
it's really nice.
Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Give a
lots of it,
hydrate.
too.
Thank you. I actually kind of need that hydrate at the moment. My cup runneth dry, unfortunately, but it was a good thing that we were at the end of the show. So when we get our 15-minute break, I'll go quickly refill that. But yeah, they have some really, really nice art pieces.
Yeah, some really good stuff in here.
Take a look through, see it in glory on your full-size screen, because ours is only going to be a fraction of the gloriousness of them all.
Yeah, on the small screen.
Yeah.
Like this one.
I like that one too, actually.
You specifically should be reaching out to the Cygnus person.
Yeah, I think I might, actually, considering something that I just got back today, so.
Yeah.
Welcome in. How do I say your name? Piara? My eyesight is a little bit not so great. Lara. Okay, I couldn't tell if that was an L or another I. Okay, listen. I'm getting my glasses in 2 weeks, so I won't be squinting so much anymore. But when my screen is beyond my fingertips and your names are like this big, I do my best. I'm not sure. I just welcome me in. I think it's because you followed, and so that's our follow alert is when you welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like on the first time chatting or anything. Yeah. Enhancing glasses, excellent. Absolutely. I see an elf. What madness? You know what? Yeah.
Here you go. How about that? There's a Renkai for you.
Yeah, Valara is my wife.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, wow. That Renkai looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is kind of everything. We had a lot to talk about today.
Valley Girl Orc.
I see that, yep. Is the orc that hung out in the Empyrean towns too much?
Yeah, it's about right. It's all right. I can see that. Oh.
So I guess to quickly wrap up specifically the podcast, because we will be doing the post-podcast Tavern Talk. Do you guys have any last thoughts on topics and such? I know some need to run away before the break or during the break and such, so don't want to keep
Any
too much
last
more.
Words?
We've already got
Well,
like an hour
Things
or
you want
two.
to share? Things you want to plug?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some RP aspects of our guild that I would like to highlight for a moment. I did break it down mechanically what the 3 different clans are recognized for in some ways, but the roleplay aspects of each of them, there's also going to have a bar, like a tavern sort of thing, where there's a network of them, and role-playing in taverns is going to be a very important part of one of our clans, and that'll be the Ramhearts. And the Runeforge are a clan that is going to be seeking faith and mixing in the forging process with that, whatever that turns out to be within the Ashes lore or within the Runeforge chosen religion. And then the Iron Guard are the ones that are also going to be working with trade, and so the PvP clan working with trade and the roleplay and political dynamics that come into play there is a really interesting way of describing the 3 clans. But it's amazing that we have a roleplay community like this, where it's pretty amazing to be a dwarf. And if you've been a dwarf in any other game, it's ripe time to reconsider it as a mainstay, because in a lot of ways, dwarves are really prideful and proud of their craft, and moving into a dwarven city that's already built into the game, we're not going to have an opportunity like this as dwarves, or we haven't really had an opportunity like this. And so the stories that we're going to be telling, the interesting dynamics of the 3 clans, the connections that we're going to be making, the alliances that we'll have, the whole dwarven node experience, we really want to provide something amazing for the Ashes of Creation community, and not just ourselves. Of course, there's limitations to how you can interact with, we don't want Vex taken over, but
Yeah.
please come enjoy
That
our...
happened anyway.
Yeah, right. Please come enjoy our nodes, our antics, and our resourcefulness. We are really dedicated to representing dwarves in a way that might not ever be seen again. It's really exciting to be a part of.
Something I want to kind of plug in. Come immerse yourself as a Denier. You don't have to have experience, with roleplay. You could be a veteran roleplay. You could be new to it. Come on by, experience what we have. Even if you're just coming by the node to say hi and having a few drinks with us. We enjoy, other guilds reaching out to us to, experience some events that we're planning. I just want to have a good time with everyone who wants to kind of be around us. So, so we're about having good times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. Alrighty. Well, thank you both for stopping on by and hanging out with us. Were you both hanging out after the break here, or did one of you have to run away?
It actually did take up all the time that I had available, so I will have to head off afterwards.
Yeah, this is a little bit longer than we normally go for. So
Yeah, a bit.
like how long does the interview thing go for? Oh, usually an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours on the longer. No, we hit 2.5 hours. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
be taking
thank
off
you
as
both.
well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, I'll say the Auf Wiedersehens now. So thanks for stopping in. Definitely appreciate the conversation. I had fun. Seemed like you did too. If you didn't, I'm gonna imagine you did, and it was amazing, and that you'll want to come back again someday, which you are welcome to.
And for the
Yes.
rest of you that are in chat, we're going to take a 15-minute break and we'll come back with our post-podcast tavern talk. But in the meantime, thank you, Dunehold, for joining us for our episode 139. It was very nice being able to chat with you about the insights of your... I'm not even asking. The insights of your guild.
WDF, yes, that what you're
Yes.
saying in chat. WDF. All right. But yes, thank you all for hanging out with us. Much appreciated. Love you all of your chats. Provided entertainment as well as fun things for us to feed off of. So kept the
Yes.
conversation going, and we appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for having us. You've got a really great community here. Hello, great tavern community. Golden Feather. Looking forward to your futures and being a part of it.
Same.
Really nice having your community join us as well. WDF.
Sort of the thing.
Yes.
All right, we'll catch you folks later. We'll be back in approximately, let's see, like 10-15. We're going to try for the shorter, but yeah, I'm going to put the timer for the longer, just in case.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you then.